and welcome everybody to the Mayhem Festival, Mayhem Edition. My name is Juliette O'Donnell and I am your facilitator today. And we are all here on a webinar to talk about why youth circus matters. So I'm sure we all have a lot to say on that. I think I'll start with you, Stephen, if that's okay. Yeah? So Stephen, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your experiences with youth circus.
Sure. Well, I started off as a volunteer with the Youth Circus in Galway in, I think, 2012 maybe, or 2013. And I started off doing helping them with the newsletter. And then I saw that it was such a great organization that I decided to try and get more involved. And I ended up working in the office there with Gwen and Ula and Alice for a couple of years. And then I came back and forth in various different roles. And I completely changed my life. I ended up doing some research in the University of Limerick on youth circus. And then since then I've written a lot about the emotional and kind of social effects of youth circus for different organizations from around the world. And now I work as a consultant, and I help different youth circus organizations to do project evaluations and I do my own research into the impact and to the effect of youth circus.
Thank you.
And I have done youth circus with my daughter as well. I did family circus, but I'm far too old to have ever really, it's been a long time since I've been a youth.
Thank you so much, Stephen. And Keela, if you can introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, so my name's Keela. I joined circus at around, I think it was 2014, and I started off in clubs. I did family circus for a while, then I started doing the drop-in classes with still walking, and then the next year in 2015, around Easter I think it was, I joined and I became a full-time member. So then I started attending a tweenies class, and then later on I moved up to seniors, and now I'm in seniors and Piero. And yeah, I've been doing it for about 6 years now, and I love it. It's the best thing.
Thank you so much, Keela. Isabela, can you introduce yourself for us?
Hey, I'm Isabela. I'm an artist in residence and tutor at Galway Community Circus. I'm from Brazil. I started my life in circus in kind of a youth circus. Wasn't an organization, was more like I don't know, people who knew how to do circus and then they needed a space and then they gave classes of circus. And I've been here in Galway for the past a little bit more than 2.5 years. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm also graduated at the National Circus School in Brazil. That's it.
Just a little side note there. Yeah. Freddy, could you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Freddy. I am here. Anyway, I was in Galway Community Circus since 2013. So I was there for almost 2 years before I went to a circus college. And I was in a circus college in Holland for 4 years. And now I've been out of that one for nearly 2 years. So I've been doing circus for almost 7 years now. And it's fantastic.
Thank you. And Stevie, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. I'm Stevie. I'm ex-Galway Circus, and I'm currently the artistic director of FLIC Circus School in Italy. So yeah, I've been in some way involved in either juggling, still walking, or unicycle since the early 2002, more or less. Passing through to teaching in Galway Circus, to then teaching in Italy in Youth Circus, to then continuing on into the professional training aspect as well as an artist at the same time, and also then as a teacher.
Perfect. Thank you. I think I'll introduce myself because now apparently my audio is working. I have been doing circus for 3.5 years with Galway Community Circus. Doing a lot of oh no. Yes.
Okay, let's not worry. This is Zoom. It's okay. How about if you become a panelist and I can ask the questions that you have prepared? Is that okay?
Yes, perfect.
Brilliant. I'm just gonna, okay, great. Hi, audience. Hello. Juliette has prepared some really great questions for our panelists, and it's just a shame now that the internet is not cooperating, but this is sometimes what happens. So it's okay. In circus, we problem solve all the time. So I'm just gonna, sorry, I'm just gonna look up the questions here. So basically our subject today is why youth circus matters, and does it? And it's really interesting to have so many different voices in our conversation today. So first of all, I suppose most people in the audience have an idea about what youth circus is, but we'd love to come back to you, Stephen. Would you be able to kind of give us in your own words, a definition of what is youth circus?
Sure. It's very hard to define circus, and it's very hard to define youth circus. So what me and a lot of my colleagues and peers do is we talk about the way youth circus is used. And I think it all comes down to a fundamental belief in the transformative power of art. So people who are involved in youth circus, whether consciously or subconsciously, believe in the power of art to bring about change. So youth circus is a practice and a style and a mode of doing circus where the people involved are using it to help young people to grow, to develop, to flourish, to feel better about themselves, to overcome difficulties, to feel better as part of their community, to become better citizens in where they live. It's used for all these purposes, as opposed to in what we might talk about as professional circus or performing circus. You know, basically non-youth circus. The goal in non-youth circus is really to entertain or to have some kind of aesthetic content, to tell some story or to show some skills or to do some kind of thing for the audience that is based on you as an artist. So in non-youth circus, art is kind of the main thing, and in youth circus, it seems to me and my colleagues that it's all about somehow helping people to transform or to grow or to develop. So I would always come back to the idea of youth circus as being a means or a method to help young people grow and flourish.
That's really beautifully explained. Absolutely agreed. Keela, does that resonate with you, what Stephen is saying? And can I ask you, what kind of made you join the Galway Community Circus in the first place?
I completely agree with that. Whenever I first joined, I was always very nervous, anxious. I didn't really know anyone. I just moved to Galway, and it was just a place that I felt like I could make friends easily. Like, I came in on the first day and I started talking to people, and they instantly just started welcoming me in, and it was amazing. And ever since then, I think I've just matured so much and grown so much through circus, and it's helped me develop into a much better person than I was before.
So nice to hear. And what kind of opportunities have you got, like with Galway Community Circus? What kind of projects have you taken part in?
Wow. I've done so many projects. Okay, I'll try and remember them all. So I've been a part of 2 youth exchanges, one to London, the National Centre of Circus Arts, the other to Circo in Czech Republic, Prague. And I've also been a part of 4 big shows, multiple smaller cabarets. I've attended the, what was it? It was the Circus Goes Urban project. That was amazing. And currently I'm a part of AB Circ, which is a junior leadership program where we learn how to become a teacher.
Amazing. I know you touched on that a bit already, but we'd like to hear a little bit more. Like, what do you think has been the value for you in your life of those kind of opportunities?
Well, I've met amazing people around the world. I think it's such a good opportunity to just build community and to build confidence and to bond with people and learn how to communicate, and performance skills, strength and flexibility. There's so much to it. Like, there's no negative thing about it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Keela. Juliette, let's try. I would love to hear from you the kind of opportunities that you've got with Galway Community Circus. What has been the value for you?
Well, I can definitely relate to what Keela has said. I hope you guys can all hear me.
Yes.
For example, even because Keela is here, I'll talk about that Keela and I are very different people, but through circus, we've changed each other's lives. One of the greatest things about youth circus for me is the fact that I've been able to have intergenerational relationships built 60, 50, 10 years old that I all consider to be my friends. And I don't think there are many other different pastimes or areas or communities that you can have that sort of, that you can develop that with. That, I think the opportunities that circus has provided with me, I mean, we can have a list of all of the things that you can write down on paper. Isabela and Keela, which was wonderful, but I think that youth circus is even more than that. It's something, youth circus can have a very powerful impact. For example, particularly people who have maybe mental health problems or struggle with confidence, which is the great majority of youth. Circus has really told people, tells a lot of youth that anything that you thought was impossible now becomes far more possible. So I think that's the greatest lesson that circus has taught me across the board as regards to confidence in talking to people, confidence with sports, confidence with your personality, and that translates so circus.
Amazing. Thank you, Juliette, and I really hope that everybody could hear every word of that because you put it so well. Stevie, it's really interesting to hear about kind of your journey from doing circus as a hobby and then ending up into a career as an artistic director of professional circus school in Italy. How did that come up, and what was the kind of the role of the kind of amateur circus in your own career and your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think I come back again to what Keela said as well with this this meeting people, really, because when I was in Galway in the university, I came part of the juggling society, basically, you know, which was again this social aspect, actually coming in contact with other people actually within the university. then from there, I mean, linking in then to different projects and then coming to get to know Galway Circus. And I mean, there's a whole group of people that here I see Amelie is online. So Amelie is one of these people, one of the people in Galway that I met through the circus. Then from there, it linked a little bit with my desire to travel as well. I then headed off to Spain after I finished university. And I was involved. I wanted to follow this process of meeting new people again. So I went when I was in a city in Torrelavega in the north of Spain, with a group called Malabar Circo, and they had this course that we're working with, kind of this part-time course. So I would travel 45 minutes from the city to this town twice a week to take part in the course. And from there I started aerial acrobatics. And then I came back to Galway, where I then started teaching something like with some of the classes, through which then I met Fidget Feet, so the professional company, who then had brought in other people. And then I started to have contacts with this other part of this performing side. And then from the performing side, I headed off to start to train. And then from there, it was a very clear, big decision. I mean, at the same time, to make a step from that professional university career into something that in Ireland at the time was not very well known. And so it was like, yeah, I'm off to Europe to study circus. That was one of the big things. I think maybe Freddy as well might have had that a couple of years later when he headed off to Holland. So yeah, then eventually I ended up in Italy, and then I studied in FLIC Circus School as a student, specializing in aerial acrobatics. And then from there I started working with different companies, different projects, theaters, etc. as an aerial acrobat. To then obviously come back then into the professional school to start teaching, to then finish into, hopefully not finish, but I mean, to be, to the role that I'm actually in now, which is both as an aerial acrobatics teacher, general, especially teaching all disciplines, but then also then as directing student shows, and then the general didactic and pedagogical creation of the program of the circus school. So yeah, a big thing that's all start for me, like, kind of really started in Galway. I mean, like the community group that was definitely there in Galway was something that at the time this is something good, and this is something that can bring me forward, and why not feel like this all the time when I work, you know? So
yeah, it's so impressive to see where Stevie has gone since leaving Galway. I know Freddy, you can probably you have a little bit similar experience. I mean, you already touched on that, but can you tell our viewers a little bit more about what kind of made you inspired to go into a professional circus school, and your journey kind of from youth circus there?
Yeah, well, I just noticed as soon as I came in and I started doing circus that it's like stepping into a different world almost, because everybody there's just no judgment in the room. Everybody's supportive, everybody's happy. You know, it's a real team effort, even though the things that you do in there are usually individual. You know, you can look across the room and somebody's smiling at you, even though you just dropped the ball or whatever. You know, it's just such a lovely supportive atmosphere, and I wasn't finding that as much outside of circus. In other sports or in school or whatever, it just wasn't the same supportive feeling, no matter what you're doing or no matter how you're failing. And then I was just thought straight away, yeah, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that more. You can go to college? Oh my God, yeah, definitely. So yeah, it was just like, as soon as I did it, and then I heard you could go to college, it was just what I wanted to do. I almost left school to go to a college, but then I decided, no, I'd finish school and go, which was lucky, because when I got to the college, they asked me for my end of year results. So I almost said no to school to get to college, but then I would have just been totally snookered.
And it's so brilliant that you're still connected to us here in Galway, and that we are obviously, you know, following what you're doing with Huge Pride.
So grateful to Galway Community Circus for all the help you've given me over the years, and also the training space. Like, such a great training space in Galway Community Circus. It's warm and colourful and nice wooden floor, nice and soft.
Oh,
Not that you train on rocks or anything, but just the little things.
thanks, Freddy. I can see Isabela coming from Brazil. She's shocked by us describing Galway Community Circus space as warm. Isabela, you've been both a student and a teacher in both amateur circus setting, like here in Galway, or you've gone to professional circus school yourself. But our question about the value of youth circus, how would you describe that?
In the beginning, I started doing gymnastics, and then once I started to know that there were circus classes, it was the same reaction as Fred. It was like somewhere that there was no competition, there was just having fun and then trying things out, and especially like from gymnastics, which is really like this, and you can't really do your things. So then once I started to do go to circus classes, it actually brought me, opened my eyes to what I could do, such as a creative way, and also physical activity that I didn't need to have to do some sport to do some kind of physical activity. So this was really nice. And then at some point I was just doing circus, and I don't know, it was always kind of like a hobby for me. And then yeah, it was the same. It was fun because it was the same thing as Fred, saying you can actually go to college, like a circus college, I had no idea that I even had a circus school in my country, that I actually anywhere, I didn't know about the existence of a circus school or anything. I remember seeing, I don't know, Cirque du Soleil, and then I was like, oh, I really want to be there, and then, I mean, my parents are really supportive somehow, but they were like, yeah, but you need to train really hard, And then I was like, okay. But then once I discovered that there was this possibility of going to schools, then it was also an eye-opening, because it was like, okay, I can actually do this, And then once I started doing so I went to the school, and then once I was there, it was everything new. So I didn't, it's not that I was there for fun, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted, because I was just in the university. I was just studying anthropology, and I kind of locked the university to go to the circus school. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna spend 1 year here, and we'll see what happens. But then once it finished, I actually wanted to continue. I actually wanted to have this career, and I had no idea where it would lead me, because of course I thought in giving classes maybe, but it wasn't my main point. I was actually focusing being a performer. And then I finished the school, and then I started, had some projects, came to Europe. And when I came to Europe was actually to try a circus school. And then I entered at Galway Community Circus, and I never left.
Never.
Until now. No, but it was this, I started to be there, and it was, I thought some classes before, but at the same time, it really opened even more my horizons, thinking okay, I can be a performer, I can perform and everything, but I can also teach, and all the projects that you also have, not just teaching itself, but the youth exchanges, for example, all these projects that you have that comes with the Youth Circus. And for me, unfortunately, in Brazil, that was not really the reality. So, in Europe, I think, I don't know if everywhere, of course, but compared to the opportunities I had as a Youth Circus member, I would never had any of the opportunities that the guys here have, which is great. At the same time, you know, I feel really happy for them, and really happy that I could make part of it somehow, you know.
Molly here in the audience has asked which circus schools you've gone to. So could you, Freddy, could you just say the name of your school and the city and the country, the professional school that you've gone to?
Yeah, my school was Codarts University of the Arts in Rotterdam, in the Netherlands. It's a 4-year degree course.
Awesome. And Stevie?
I studied in FLIC school, FLIC Circus School here in Turin in Italy.
Amazing. And Isabela, could you say the name of you?
Yeah, it's the National Circus School of Brazil. Yeah.
Brilliant. A question for everybody. Whoever would like to start, what do you think would be the most unexpected benefit that one can get from youth circus as an individual or on a kind of community level?
I would say maybe to touch back on what Freddy mentioned about a work ethic. I think from the outside the circus world, maybe people looking in might think, oh, it's all, you know, colorful hippies, you know, playing bongos and, you know, drinking Buckfast and walking dogs on strings and things like that. That's what they expect everybody to, you know, fit into a certain, you know, kind of mold. But the truth is, in my experience, and I would imagine in the experience of everybody on the panel today, nobody works harder than circus kids. I actually used to kind of bully Freddy slightly when I worked there by saying, Freddy, you can't climb up that thing, knowing full well he could, but I would just tell him he couldn't do something just to watch him do it. And then I'd say, oh, he could do that. And then I'd try something harder. Freddy, you can't pick up that thing. And he, yes, I can. So nobody works harder than circus kids, and there's no challenge a circus kid can't meet. And I think something you mentioned at the very beginning, Ula, is circus is all about problem solving. So I think when you have a very strong work ethic, oh, hi, Liam. When you have a very strong work ethic, when you have a ability to problem solve, and when no challenges stop you, you know, you overcome every challenge, I think that makes you an invaluable asset to anything and everything, and whether it's the workplace, whether it's university, whether it's life in general. So I think the most surprising benefit of youth circus would be the ability to work hard and problem solve and overcome challenges.
Well, that's really well put, Stephen. Everybody else, you're off the hook for another few minutes. Think about your most unexpected benefit of youth circus. But before we come to you, Liam, thank you so much for joining us from France.
Hello.
Great to see you.
Yeah, sorry, I had another thing and I totally forgot, but here I am now, late.
That's okay.
Fashionably late. Great to see you all.
Great to see you. Great to see you, Liam. We're speaking to our viewers, our listeners at the moment about the value of youth circus, and obviously your experience of starting circus in Galway many years ago, and kind of I can't say that word, doing it as a hobby and then continuing into a professional circus school. What do you think is the value of youth circus?
The value of youth circus?
Yeah.
For me, I've learned so many things, most about personal development, how to feel welcome in a group, how to work as a group, how to make proper friends. That's not really about any specific aspect of yourself, but like you can really develop your own personality through circus, meeting great people. For me, I've made all my best friends through youth circus. Continued with it. So confidence, huge amount of confidence getting through circus. Without a doubt.
Amazing.
Learn new languages, meet new people, travel.
Yeah. And you've been to, can you tell us what did you do after finishing with circus in Galway? Where did you end up and where are you now?
I finished at circus in Galway and I went to Barcelona. I was very lucky to go directly after finishing my leaving cert, and did 4 years in Barcelona, and then I moved to France to another circus school, which is where I am now, and I'm in my second year. Not really in the school, outside of the school for the moment, but still officially in the school. And with Youth Circus itself, we got the chance to travel to Stockholm and to London. Was part of the Caravan Network exchange, and for me that was a huge experience. I didn't even know that circus schools existed before I went to Stockholm, and then we went there, and that kind of was a real life changer.
I still remember your face when we first walked into the space in Circo, and it's a little bit different than our space in Galway. So I think it was a big moment of wow, okay.
Yeah. It was a great opportunity.
We have some really good questions from the audience. Kiva is asking if we could do a round. It's not so serious. You can play with it. Where do you think you would be if you had never discovered Youth Circus? Isabela, where would you be if you never came across that circus group?
This is a hard question, but I would probably be maybe my hometown, sad, and struggling to graduate in anthropology after 7 years.
So I think I would be super depressed and I would have really lost myself. I'll end there because of the connection.
Thankfully, you found the circus. Stevie, could you imagine if you didn't get involved with the Juggling Society? Would you be an engineer?
I would actually be probably a biotechnologist, because that's what I studied in university. So yeah, definitely. However, I don't know. At the same time, I think definitely the connection, like circus, what actually definitely brought back to me was literally the connection with people, really, more than anything. And it's almost one of the decisions really that I was making when I finished university. I was like kind of going, how can I have connections with people in the same way when I have a test tube in my hand?
Does anybody else, would you like to share what your life might be without coming into circus? Freddy?
Physically, I don't really know where I would be, because I definitely wouldn't have gone straight into college after school anyway. But I have an idea of where I would be, like maybe doing carpentry or something. But like mentally, I'd be a bit different. Circus has definitely taught me how to be more extroverted. I'd be more introverted and probably a bit more socially quiet. Yeah.
Anyone else?
For me, I think
William, yes.
my dad, when I told my dad I want to study circus, he told me that I should study sculpture instead. So maybe I would have done that. I would have probably done some kind of other arty thing, but probably wouldn't be as happy, I don't think, as I am now.
And you can always go back to sculpture if you want.
I don't really want to, but I could, maybe. Maybe do it in a different way, more of a fun way.
Keela, what about you?
Well, I'm currently in 5th year right now, going into Leaving Cert, so I'd still be doing that, but I would be a much different person. I'd be a lot more shy. I wouldn't do half the things I do now. Like in TY, I was house captain. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have half the confidence I gained from circus. And I wouldn't be thinking about going to circus college. I would be probably thinking about going to art college, because that would be like my second thing that I love. So, yeah.
Another good question coming from the audience, especially directed to Stevie and Isabela as circus teachers. What would be your favorite memory about a youth circus member? Okay, that's an impossible question. Pick one. Okay, forget about the word favorite. Pick one nice memory that you have about the impact of youth circus on a student of yours, maybe.
I remember there was in Galway this German student who had moved to Ireland for a year to do 1 year in university. I can't remember his name, but I remember.
Sebastian?
Was that it? Because
yeah.
the guy with the curly hair. And I remember that, like, then that was the particular year that there was another one of the end of year show in the black box, and there was this whole development thing that was happening with, and there was all these scenes that were happening and acting and interaction between the students. So that was definitely one to see the connection immediately of different cultures. Another thing then I get in Galway was actually one of the youth reach. What are they called? The youth reach. Is that what they're called? Yeah, the Youth Reach projects with a group of kids who came in to the gym there in Shantala, and these kids, which let's say a bundle of energy, we shall call them, and this whole thing of like kind of juggling 3 balls, and I was trying to explain how to juggle 3 balls, and I was like, no, I'll give you a hand, and this guy turned around and said, no, I will do it. and that coming back to what Stephen said as well earlier about saying that Freddy, no, you can never climb that rope, don't worry. To see on a daily basis, and I see it even at the moment here where I am, of this what's the word, stubbornness almost, to say, no, I am going to fix this problem.
Isabela, the same question to you. Like, can you just give us one example of one of your favorite memories about the student?
I think one really nice memory I have is one exchange that we did on the beach. It was great, and then it was one of the most beautiful images I had in this exchange. Was a student that was dealing with some problems, like mental health problems. And it was one day that we went to the beach after the rehearsals, and she was so happy in the sea. Like, and I never saw her happy that way.
Yeah, beautiful. And that might answer maybe the next question as well, coming from an audience. Somebody's asking, what was the most chaotic thing you've seen in a youth circus class or in a circus club? Would anybody like to share? Please.
You'll remember this as well, Ula, but we organized a day trip to Dublin from Galway because we won like 50 tickets. Freddy was there as well. We won, and Liam, of course. We won 50 tickets on the train or something. So we went up to Dublin one Sunday, and we just took over a carriage, and people were literally lying in the luggage bays of the carriage, and like there were people in the carriage, but they left. And just, I remember looking around, and just literally children were hanging from everywhere, cramming themselves into things, climbing over tables, sitting on each other. It was just absolutely chaos. And one of the best days of my life, and I'll never forget it. It was absolute glorious chaos.
That's a really good way to describe it, glorious chaos. Somebody also wants to know from you guys, that was there an exact moment where you realized that you wanted to do circus, or was it more this kind of gradual realization? Thanks, Nisha, for your question.
For me, on the 14th of June 14th of 2014, It was the moment I decided that I really wanted to do circus as a profession. But yeah, it was somehow gradual because I was already in the circus school. But for me, I never thought on something else than using somehow my body to work in a legal and nice way. So it was, yeah, it was the moment that I decided that this was what I wanted to do.
I saw a teeter board show, and I'd never seen people doing something like that before. I didn't even know what it was, and I thought it was absolutely amazing. I said I want to do that, so didn't really do that in the end, but found circus, came to Galway Community Circus then, and started doing as close as I could to get to do that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Anyone else? Stevie, please.
It was a particular summer during the Galway Arts Festival when James Tire, the acrobat, came with his show to the Arts Festival. At the same time as well, linked into all the other performance stuff that was happening that year with Mockness and everything. So it's all of that. It was definitely that summer in particular in Galway. I can't remember the year, not as well as Isabela, but it was definitely a very clear moment of like, what is this and how do I do it?
Brilliant. We have about 5 minutes left of our talk today. There are two more brilliant questions from the audience. So Anna would like to ask.
Oops, we've lost Dula.
So Anna would like to ask, what was the most challenging thing you had to do at circus? This is Leanna, technical coordinator here, and I can pass on the question. So I'll repeat, Anna, what was the most challenging thing you had to do at circus?
For me, it was, I'll just go. For me, it was getting on stage. When I went to college, it was cool. I got to train all the time, but then the reality of actually having to perform all the time started to sink in. And for the first year, I found it really difficult. Every time I had to get on stage, I just wanted to get sick and run home. But it's like anything. It's like training. You just have to practice, and then you get better at it. You get more comfortable at it. After a while, I started to make people laugh, and that was kind of my way of performing. And now I enjoy it. So.
For me,
Okay, final comments. Oh, sorry, Liam, go on.
That's okay. I was just going to say, for me, the most difficult part of thing that I had to do in circus was probably having to travel around so much, having to actually go abroad to study, having to go leave Ireland, and then having to leave Barcelona again after kind of getting settled in there, knowing that to work in the future, unless you get a job teaching in a school or teaching in some place, you're always going to have to travel around, and it's going to be hard to have a base properly.
That's so true. The travel is a positive, but also it can be a challenge for sure. There's a really good question from Rachel that it would be great to get your input on. What are your thoughts about how we can deliberately create a community where young people feel accepted and valued? It's a big one. Whoever would like to jump in, please.
I think it is definitely a hard question. I mean, it's really that point of looking for me, who I am, and then looking as well for that community, and then bringing my values out to the rest of the community and everything that then I do.
Freddy, you wanted to?
I was going to say just the same, pretty much, that I think definitely the Youth Circus does that, but the best way I can do it is just by trying to be positive myself and try not to be judgmental, just
It's so true. And maybe just to finish off, and I know that we could talk so much more. 1 hour is such a short time. And my apologies for the audience for the technical hiccups we've had. This is unfortunately the live on Zoom. What would be your one wish? Sorry. One wish for Youth Circus.
Would be my wish for Youth Circus in the future. Can we hear me?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. I think that my wish for Youth Circus in the future is for more people to be able to access it. It can help everybody, so I wish that way more people could access it, that it would
Perfect.
more mainstream in our country, for sure.
Perfect. More access, more people. Freddy, what do you think? Your wish for Youth Circus?
I wish that it was taken more seriously for all of these positive remarks that we've had on it today. I think it should be taken more seriously. It's a form of exercise, it's team building, it's confidence boosting, it's a whole package.
100%. Stevie, what about you?
Yeah, no, definitely that part of the inclusion, but also then having a space that is a safe space to go to and find that, you know, and working across everything from coordination skills, social skills, physical skills, communication skills.
Brilliant. Keela, what would be your dream for Youth Circus, Galway Community Circus?
Yeah, I also wish it was taken more seriously. I noticed, especially not in my experience, but a lot of my friends that also want to do circus as like a full-time thing, is that people around them don't support it. Especially I noticed teachers in school, whenever teachers ask you what you want to do and you say, oh, I want to become a circus performer, they're like, where is that going to bring you? And it's like, well, it's going to bring me loads of places, it's going to bring me all around the world, but they don't understand it because they think that it's a bad career for some reason, and I don't know why. That's like, there's this whole thing around it, but I wish people would accept it more and it was more known about.
Such a good point, Keela. Definitely. Liam, what would be your wish for Youth Circus, a dream?
My dream that would be that Galway Community Circus has a proper space and they don't get bothered so much by regulations for aerial equipment and stuff, and it's kind of a bit better understood the way it works. Maybe people in the government could be a bit better educated in how Youth Circus is working and how it has worked and how it's worked in other countries. Try and learn a bit, follow the prototypes from the way it's working in France, from the way it's done in Stockholm.
Hear, hear. Will you come and perform in the opening of our future beautiful permanent building one day?
Of course, without a doubt.
Amazing. Isabela, what do you think would be your dream, hope for Youth Circus?
I kind of agree with Freddy in a way that, yeah, it is a full package, and it would be interesting that loads of people actually invested more. It's about mental health, it's about physical activity, it's about problem solving, it's about socialization, it's so many things involved. So yeah, maybe if people realize, actually I think people knew a bit more, you know, like they would understand that this is a really important part of like what we do and what we can do with it, you know.
Yeah, thank you. Stevie, you had a...
Yeah, I think it's something as well to, and I think as well Stephen knows this from actually his speciality as well from studying actually Youth Circus, but the fact that Youth Circus itself is also the beginning of an entire process of a career path that in Ireland at the minute is still not particularly recognized and understood, I think, properly. The fact that you can go from a Youth Circus into a university like Freddy did, and also like Liam into Spain, which is another circus school that is recognized within a European Federation of Circus Schools, which is an institution that is networking people and schools across the entire globe. that then those university people can go into postdocs, and that there is postdoctorates and master degrees into these things. And a career in circus does not mean only performing. It can mean performing, but it doesn't actually mean that it is you have to become a performer. The actual aspect and the position of a teacher and a circus teacher is something that is incredibly important.
You're so right. I really want to go. We are now 5 minutes past, so my apologies. We've gone over, but I mean, I'd love to continue this for a couple of more hours. I know that you would have so much more to contribute, but for the final thoughts, Stephen, I'm going to come to you. So, what would be your hope, wish for Youth Circus?
My dream for Youth Circus is very simple. I wanted to be part of the secondary school PE curriculum. I want you to have an option of, you know, rugby, Gaelic football, soccer, Youth Circus, because there's, you know, probably 40% of the population who don't fit into the rugby, Gaelic football, you know, athletics mold, and Youth Circus would help them. That's my dream.
Amazing. I can see so many panelists nodding, and I fully agree. We've now run out of time, unfortunately, but I would just like to say a huge big thank you to all the panelists for joining us this afternoon, giving us some of your Sunday. It was so lovely to see you. I am so sorry, Juliette, that the connection just wasn't working the best, but thank you so much for all your work, and big thank you also to Leanna and Amelie for helping behind the scenes, for making our circus talk session happen. A big thank you to Galway Community Circus primary funders, the Arts Council, Galway City Council, and Erasmus Plus, who are supporting our Mayhem Festival. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining our circus talks. Take care.